Good evening. Welcome to our first budget hearing, September 10th, 2024. Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, would you take the roll, please?
Councilmember Lord,
Here.
Councilmember Duncan,
Here.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Here.
Vice Mayor Callahan,
Here.
Mayor Mairbach. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. At this point in time, would you please read the rules regarding public comments?
Please be advised that when joining the meeting, you are automatically muted. Welcome to tonight's meeting. The public was able to make public comments prior to the meeting, either by leaving a voicemail message or sending an email to the town clerk. There were no public comments received by the clerk's office for tonight's meeting. If you wish to speak tonight, please press *9 and the host will be alerted. Pressing *9 is known as raising your hand. Once you press *9, you will be placed in a queue to speak and will be called upon by your last name. Please state your name and address. If you are a hired consultant or town employee and/or if you are engaged in lobbying activities and/or representing an organization, please provide that information before speaking. Please be sure to be in a quiet area to avoid unnecessary noise. A time limit of 3 minutes will be imposed for each speaker during public comments. Your cooperation is appreciated.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. At this point, I would open the floor to public comments. If there's anybody wishing to speak, come forward. Seeing no, oh. Yes, just name and address. You're recognized, Mr.
There we go. But I'm addressing you tonight as the Chief Strategy Officer for the Economic Development Council of South Miami-Dade, better known as the EDC. We want to thank the town of Cutler Bay and this council for your continued support. We very much appreciate it. We value our partnership with the town. It's really important to us. I hope it's important to you. Just last Saturday, you were kind enough to host our small business fair right here in this very room. We got rave reviews. I am so pleased that we can continue to work with all of you. And as a bonus, we discovered your prospectus. Actually, we were introduced to it by your town manager. This is a fantastic marketing piece, and we intend to put it to good use in working with new business prospects that are anxious to come to South Miami-Dade County. So all I can say is thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
Very much, Mr. England. We certainly do appreciate our partnership with the EDC as well. They serve a great function for us here in the town of Cutler Bay. All right, seeing no other public comments, Mr. Clerk, anyone in the queue?
No one in the queue.
Thank you. At this point in time, I will close public comments. We do not have any town reports unless the town attorney has any comments. Town clerk, any comments?
None.
Okay, we will move on. There's not a consent agenda. We will move on to the next item. At this point, we will go to item 11. Our resolutions, and Mr. Clerk, would you please read both resolutions at the same time?
Resolution 11A, a resolution of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, adopting the proposed millage rate of the town of Cutler Bay for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025, pursuant to section 200.065 Florida statutes and providing for an effective date. 11B, a resolution of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, adopting the tentative operating and capital outlay budget for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025, pursuant to section 200.065 Florida statutes, authorizing the town manager to make expenditures consistent therewith and authorizing the town manager to make certain budget amendments within the department provided that the total of the appropriations is not changed, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. At this time, I will recognize our town manager, Ralph Casals, in addition, Finance Director Robert Dario, and also recognize our town attorney, Roger Ho. Mr. Casals, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of the council. If we can, as state required, I'm going to have Robert Dario, Finance Director, read into the record the state required trim notice statement. So, Robert, if you're on.
Yes. Okay. The trim statement for our first budget hearing reads as follows. The proposed millage rate of the town of Cutler Bay for fiscal year 2024-25 of 3.0006 mils per $1,000 of assessed property value within the town of Cutler Bay is 16.26% greater than the rollback rate of 2.5809 mils per $1,000 of assessed property value. Ad valorem taxes are being increased primarily to help provide for operating expenditures required to maintain current levels of resident services, including police services, reflecting the increases in those costs due to current economic conditions and inflationary trends that are anticipated to continue in the upcoming fiscal year, and for police services, reflecting negotiated union contract costs.
Thank you, Robert. And Vice Mayor, members of council, before we open the public hearing, I would like to provide a brief PowerPoint presentation, and immediately following, we could open the public hearing as well. So as stated, so Rob, thank you. Get that queued up. Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of council, members of the audience that are here tonight, and also the folks that are viewing at home. Yep, we can see the PowerPoint presentation. So this is our first budget hearing. Just a quick overview. A lot of this will be familiar to the folks at home and here that have been following us through our budget workshops. Just a general information about the Cutler Bay. 45,000 residents. We're very proud of only having 37 employees, incorporated in 2005. Our population is just over 45,000 residents. We're approximately 9.89 square miles. Median age is 38. Household size, 3.35. I'm still trying to figure out what that 0.35 is, but we'll get that. And we have approximately 19,000 housing units. This is something that I think it's important for the town and our residents. We have this picture at our parks as well as all of our entry points in our office buildings that shows the leadership here. Obviously, the town council, the three charter officials, myself, the town attorney, and the town clerk, as well as the department directors. And I think this is important because we have our mission statement, core values, but not only that, we also have everybody's contact information there as well. Briefly, organization charts. Obviously, it starts with the Cutler Bay residents, then the mayor and council, the three charter officials. Then we have under the town clerk, the deputy clerk, and then underneath there, we have the rest of the great talented staff that works for me. Town mission and vision, mission statement. I think it takes I want to take time to read this because it's only so many times a year we talk about this. The town council will work to make Cutler Bay an excellent place to live, work, and play. Cutler Bay's government will be creative, responsive, and respectful in providing innovative and cost-effective services to the community. This mission statement was important enough, members of the council and the audience, that we adopted it via Resolution 1264. Our vision. Cutler Bay will be recognized as one of the most desirable communities in South Florida to live, work, and play. Its schools, homes, parks, and cultural facilities offer an enriched environment for children, adults, senior citizens alike, and its local economy encourages outstanding companies to want to do business here. Also, our financial stability and sustainability goals. The fiscal viability of the town is the primary concern of its elected officials, its residents, and its employees. Short and long-term financial stability is critical and critically important to the ultimate realization of the town's vision. This service area has four components: fiscal responsibility, fiscal transparency, capital building programs, and growth management. So just our journey of recap of our budget workshops. First budget workshop, we call that the visioning, and we also talked about the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, as we talk about. That occurred on July 31st, and we had over 525 views on both YouTube and Facebook. Also, then following that, we had on August 19th, General Fund, where we talked about introduce some of the departments that are operating on the general fund, our revenues and expenditures, and we had over 679 views. Last one we had was a third budget workshop that we completed all the funds, and we recapped the first and second workshop. We had over 272 views. Other community conversations that we've had since our workshops. I had a briefing with the Encompass Health leadership team. That was a virtual meeting on August the 9th. We had open mic night number 2, which was on August 26th. We had in person and virtually. I'm proud to say that we had over 797 views. And there we also talked about the budget and how to read the trim notes, et cetera. And lastly, we had East Ridge Senior Living Facility most recently on August 28th, and that was in person. So that was some really good feedback. So budget hearing notices, they were mailed out by the property appraiser's office and notifying residents that today is the meeting. There it is an excerpt of one here, September the 10th, 6 p.m., our council chambers. Our second budget hearing notice will not be mailed out, but it will be published in the Miami Herald as per state law. It's going to take place on September the 24th, 6 p.m., and we actually have a sample from last year. Certain size requirements that need to be put into in the newspaper. Budget workshop and hearing notices. So how do we get the word out? We sent that out on our e-news notification, and we had over 4,800 subscribers. We also put it in our center pages in the Cutler Bay newspaper the week of August 19th, posted the meeting on our town main website. We also displayed it on our electronic message boards. So we have 2 in town, Curvin Boulevard, 107th, and Marlin Road, Cutler Road. And then obviously, as we talked about previously, we talked about it in our open mic and our 2 community meetings. So this is an important graphic for us to highlight. This is the town of Cutler Bay's adopted millage rate that we currently have is 2.8332. And I apologize, kind of see it kind of sideways. That's the only way to kind of make it fit in the screen. Just like I mentioned during our budget workshops, and when you start looking at I call it the zip code journey, you have cities that are lower than ours, and then I want you to kind of compare property values there as well. I mean, you have Doral, our friends from Doral, our Aventura, Bell Harbor, Sunny Isles, Miami Lakes, Palmetto Bay, and Pinecrest. So our millage rate is very comparable compared to the lowest in the county there. So what did the town do? The town council set what we call a ceiling millage rate. We set a ceiling millage rate of $3.006 per $1,000 assessed property value. That's what was advertised. Sorry, that was noticed in the trim notice. Our current rate, illustrative purposes, 2.8332. Resolution that we adopted set the meeting hearing dates, which is obviously the first one's occurring today, and then the second one is on September the 24th. So we did 2 things. We set the meeting dates and we set the ceiling, millage rate ceiling. Just to recap the last 10 years, our ceiling millage rate that we've adopted. You can see here where we've kind of been consistent the last 3 years, even though you see this one here at 2.8332. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We know that the published one was 3.006. I'm showing you a lower one, and there's will be some actions we'll take in the future here. Our fund balance, as you can see, our fund balance reserves, as you can see throughout, we have a fund balance. We have a healthy fund balance reserve of $26 million there. This is actual. So our first budget workshop, just a brief recap of what occurred on July 31st. We talked about our American Rescue Plan, ARPA money that we received $21 million. We have $10 million for general services, $11 million for water quality improvement projects. We call those storm drain projects. In that presentation, we were very clear of what we use the $10 million for, the general services allocation. As you can see in that little chart there, it's kind of hard to read it. It says the resolution number, and mayor, members of council, every time we use any funding from American Rescue Plan, we bring that before the town council. It does a couple of things. One, it's consistent. The way we do our impact fees, number one. Number two, it provides the town attorney's office as well as a second check review set of eyes that we work closely with. And tonight we have, Roger Poe, our town attorney here, that they make sure that every expense is eligible under the ARPA plan. And then obviously it's adopted via resolution. The remaining $11 million that we have, we show graphically there in the first budget workshop, all the different drainage improvement projects that we have throughout the town. There you see a graphic map. And then also the other map next to it is where you see a lot of the roadway projects that we have that have a drainage element to it, in which we are.
Mr. Manager, just interrupt you for a second. I'd like the record to reflect that Mayor Mirabot is now present. And now that the mayor is present, I will pass the gavel.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Apologize for my tardiness. Ralph, you may continue.
Not a problem, Mayor, not a problem. I'm sure you've seen these slides before, but we're just kind of going a brief recap. You know, mayors, we've had the clerk read both resolutions into the record, and we're just going through the PowerPoint presentation right now. Our second budget workshop took place on August the 19th. Just a little quick recap. There we introduced the town council and the residents, the general fund revenues that our finance director went through the revenues. And then we went into each departmental expenditure. This one just happened to be an example of the Public Works Department. But more importantly, we also attached to our worksheets, and we're very proud of full transparency. Inside the budget book, we have what we call the budget worksheets. And members of council, this is one that what I've said before over and over again is that the residents and the general and the council have exactly what each department head fills out. So you have what we have. There's no the worksheets. The third budget workshop took place on August the 29th. And there we started to talk about the special revenue funds, items that are not ad valorem funded that we talk about there. You'll see a lot of the different grants we received here, you know, like Union Children Trust, CITT, a lot of different acronyms that we use throughout there. And we also discussed our ARPA projects there. But more importantly, we also talked about our stormwater utility fund. Those are non-ad valorem funded projects. That was the focus of the third budget workshop. So, as I mentioned before, the Miami-Dade County Property Appraiser mailed out the truth and millage, what we call the trim notice. And I think it's important for us to spend a couple minutes because, you know, residents receive this, they see that, they look at the numbers, but I want to take a couple minutes just to understand this. I mean, this is our world, this is what we do, but I think it's important to spend a couple minutes there, members of council. So our folio in Cutler Bay, we're municipality number 36. You know, we are the youngest municipality, so we're number 36. And then here, you'll see here right there, Cutler Bay will be the item that the residents that live on this particular folio number have. And we're going to go through each one. So last year's taxable value, that is the house, that the taxable value of it, not the, obviously what the value is that you sell it, right? I mean, you know, $150,000. And then we had last year's millage rate of 2.8332. And there would be the amount of dollars that would be paying based on last year's taxes. Now, this year, this particular property owner, property value went up, right? You can see it went from 150 to 156. This is what we call the rollback rate, as Robert mentioned when he read the trim notice. So this would be the millage rate from last year's, based on the same amount of ad valorem taxes we collect, and it would be 403. More importantly, the 3.006 is what we advertised, and that we set the ceiling. That is our ceiling rate of 3.006, and the property owner will then propose, you know, would be $468. And I think if I see this graphically here, you'll see that would be approximately a $43.18 increase. Now, we're going to talk about it and we talked about it in the budget workshops, and we'll have, you know, future discussion here in a couple minutes regarding what we talked about through the budget workshop, that we are going to try to keep it the same exact millage rate, 2.8332, current millage rate. And I'm just kind of superimposing the numbers there. It would be $442, and that would mean a $17 increase versus the proposed, you know, $43. Here, this is the bottom portion of the trim notice where it mentions the meeting notice. This serves as the advertisement, today's date, time, the location. More importantly, for this year, this is new. We also have what we call the stormwater utility fee, which is $90 per year, which is $7.50 per month. That was previously billed by Miami-Dade County Water and Sewer Department. We'll talk about that in a second. And here, stormwater utility fund, as we've said before, we went to what's called the unified billing method, where we simply went from having Miami-Dade County Water and Sewer Department do our billing versus the property appraiser, the same amount, it's $90, but just by having this simple transaction, we are saving approximately over $117,000. but it's something new. We had to mail out the notices. There's $9 per year, $7.50. But more importantly, this resolution set the hearing date for today as well. So we'll talk about ad valorem, and then we'll talk about the stormwater fees. What did this trigger by us going to the property appraiser? That over 14,000 notices were mailed out to each of the properties that have a stormwater utility fee. That was mailed out on August 19th. We also had a social media video here. Thank you, Vice Mayor. We actually are almost up to 6,000 views, for collaborating with that video there. And we provided information there, just a quick video. And then also, as per state law, we actually put the notice in the Miami Herald that was published on August 21st. So today's budget hearing, as I mentioned, it was advertised in September 10th, published in the trim notice. And I think it's important that, we have in full transparency, we have, believe it or not, we have a nice book here that I have here in front of me, but we also have a physical hard copy in the back there for the members of the audience. But also you can find all this information online on our website. So I think it's important because we put these books together and just a lot of quick tutorial of how to read it. You see all different tabs there. One of the items that we want to talk about is obviously we'll talk about tab 4, which is our fund balance reserve policy, where both myself and the town finance director certify that we meet our minimum fund balance requirement. We call that rainy day. And then also, as per our charter, we publish the millage cost per department. That's to tab 5, but we're going to go through each tab. So how to read the budget book. We have the table of contents. We have my executive message that kind of gives you a nice recap. If anything, if you want to read the, couple 100-page plus book, you could read the first, 14 pages, 15 pages there. That kind of provides the residents a quick recap. And then we go into each department. And then we go into what we call the special revenue funds. And then we go into our stormwater utility fund. So just an example, and we're going to go through this. We take great pride in full transparency. So you'll see here the general fund budget worksheet. This is our revenues. So we have actuals from fiscal year 22-23. That is, two fiscal years removed. We have the adopted, which is the current millage rate that we have under fiscal year 20-24. We have the proposed at the current ceiling of 3.006. And then we have the next column is called the net change from the adopted 23-24 budget to what we're proposing this year. And then we have I call them little footnotes. And in the footnotes there, you'll see significant changes from 20-24. So we try to recap it there. And we explain the different activities that led to the change in the dollar figures that we have there. And then we also then go into the individual departments. We have, again, an example, mayor and town council. We have the town clerk, general government, finance, town attorney's office, community development, public works, police services, parks and recreation. So mayor and members, mayor and council budget. Again, we have the footnotes at the end there where you see the different changes that we have and significant changes in that department. We also provide a nice pie chart to kind of show where the distribution of the expenses are. And these are the budget worksheets that we discussed that, again, this is the last year's fiscal budget, current proposed budget. We have council changes. Obviously, that's blank because that's what we have the budget hearings for. And then obviously the manager request, which is it's going to be the same as the fiscal year 24-25 budget. And we have that over and over again for each subcategory account in full transparency. The fund balance reserve policy, as I mentioned, this is something that when we adopted ordinance 13-06, we set a minimum of what we can have in our rainy day fund, which is 17%. Okay, we far exceed that, but as part of our policy, we put that in the policy manual. Sorry, in the policy document section of the budget book. And then also we have the millage rate cost per department as per our town charter. You can see there, it's included in the budget book. You'll see the cost per department based on the distribution of the budget there. So with that, Mayor, that concludes my report. And And again, the residents that are here, the folks that are online, they received a trim notice, number one, but also for the first time, we also received a notice regarding the stormwater utility fund through the unified billing method. So there's two different actions there that we have. So at this point, I would just, maybe just recommend if we open the public hearing.
Okay. All right, I just wondering where we were on the agenda. Okay. All right, well, thank you very much for that presentation. Right now, I'm going to go open the floor up for a public hearing, public comments. So the floor is now open for public comments. Anybody wishing to speak, please come forward now. Give me your name and address. So there's none in the building. Is there anybody online?
No one in the queue.
Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Roger, I believe you need to read the notice, or does Robert need to read the trim notice?
Mayor, we read the trim notice at this point. So right now, I think it would
Ready
be.
for a motion on the
Yes.
actual trim? Okay, all right, well, council, we have discussed this. We started a financial plan about 3 years ago, roughly, or 2 years ago, and we've been sticking to it. It's been very, very effective. With that, hopefully someone can make a motion to set our trim millage rate, or new ceiling millage rate at 2.8332, which is the current rate. Looking for a motion for that.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Vice Mayor Callahan, looking for a second.
I second.
Take a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember-
Before you roll call vote, we have to read in
Yes,
the,
Robert, you need to read it. I understand.
so section 2 of the resolution will read that the town's proposed millage rate for the fiscal year commencing October 1, 2024 through September 30, 2025 is hereby fixed at the rate of 2.8332 mils per $1,000 of assessed property value within the town, which is 9.78% greater than the rollback rate of 2.5809 mils per $1,000 of assessed property value.
All right, thank you very much. And as I said, we have for Vice Mayor Callahan, and looking for a second.
We had a
Oh,
second.
no, we had a
from
second
Councilmember.
from you, from Councilwoman Lord. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Duncan,
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Yes.
Councilmember Lord,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Callahan,
Yes.
Mayor Mierbach.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Take us to the other item. Do we need to now approve the budget, correct? So if we could have a motion for approval of the other item?
We need to, are you going to open the floor to discussion or after the motion?
I'll open the floor now. For public comments?
No,
We've already done
for
it
council
For
comment.
council, by all means, please. You have the floor.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just have a couple questions for clarification, make sure that I understand the budget correctly, and I'm gonna pick on the town council. So hopefully this answered my question and I don't have to go any deeper, but we the FY 23-24 budget for the council members was 35,585. Proposed for 24-25 is 39,195. That difference is the COLA, is that correct?
Where's it? What page? Right, sir.
I'm on the mayor and town council.
Okay. Yes, Vice Mayor, the difference will be the COLA pay adjustment.
Okay, so in every other department, the difference between the proposed budget for FY 24-25 and the past budget of 23-24, that difference reflects the COLA and merit pay?
Yes, in fact, I know you picked the mayor and council, but when we look at some other departments there, you'll see the actual COLA and the merit pay are two separate pools of money within that department. Let me see if I could.
Right. So all right, I mean, there's an individual here. I don't want to name specific jobs, but there's a position in here that has a $10,000 increase between 23-24, 24-25. And so my question is that $10,000 increase reflects the 7.72 COLA and the 3% merit.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so that answers that.
And it's listed in each department by position number in detail in the worksheet.
Okay, so it's not $10,000 plus 7 plus 3.
Correct.
Okay. My next question is, in a minute, professional services, there's a, communication consultant, last year was 10,000, this year's 15. What is this communication consultant?
So the communication consultant, if we need to have some backup for our communications manager, for example, if we have to push out different items. I mean, we've actually budgeted this year for the consultant, but we have not used that consultant. But that's really just as a backup in case we're overwhelmed with items. And I know there's sometimes, hey, where are we with this video, for example, separate from when we do our state of the town professional video shoots.
So it's a placeholder.
Placeholder.
Okay, thank you. My next question has to do with the grant writing consultant. There's a significant increase between last year and this year, like $24,000. Are we expecting to write more grants? Is this what's justifying that $24,000 increase?
Yes, Vice Mayor. In fact, it's not only writing more grants, but also more responsibility to the grant writer to perform a lot of the different reports that we have to complete for the different grants. So that was something that was brought before the town council, I would say maybe like 4 or 5 months ago for Bell Tower Consulting for Lakeisha Morris, where we are expanding their role to provide more update reports. Instead of taking up town staff time, it was easier for us to go ahead and use that consultant who's familiar with that instead of having it in individual departments to perform those reports.
Okay, so
Quarter reports, monthly reports, et cetera.
so the increase is justified by additional needs.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Additional tasks and duties.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Council, any other questions? No? All right, looking for a motion for approval.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Lord, looking for a second.
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Ramirez. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Yes.
Councilmember Lord,
Yes.
Councilmember Duncan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Callahan,
Yes.
Mayor Butt.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. As usual, Ralph, I'd like to thank you and Robert and the rest of the staff for, again, the comments from the public about the transparency.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes, sir.
But the budget resolution required a number to be filled in.
Yes, sir, it does. So go ahead and fill it in and reread it, please.
Okay, so for the budget resolution, the total budget is going to be 117,003,701.
All right. Thank you. And I'm going to ask for a motion to, now that that's been read into the record, so we can have a motion in a second and a new vote, please.
Motion to accept the amended resolution as read.
All right, we have a motion by Vice Mayor Callahan. Look for a second.
I second.
And a second by Councilman Lord. A roll call vote, please.
Lord,
Yes.
Councilmember Duncan,
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Callahan,
Yes.
Mayor Butt.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, great. Again, we outlined what any good family, good organization should do. We outlined a financial plan a couple of years ago. We've been sticking to it, and it looks like it's reaping benefits for us. The increase in our financial strength when we're starting to go forward, looking for bonds, borrowing, and the terms are much more favorable now than they would have been a couple of years ago. So I'd like to thank the council and the staff for that. Ralph, any other additional comments?
I think, and thank you, Mayor, for that, because we recently had a meeting with Moody's with our financial advisor as well as our finance director, and we kind of reviewed in fact, a lot of the same graphs that we showed tonight. You know, the millage rate, the growth rate, the fund balance as well. The fact how we're addressing in the past where our stormwater utility fund was running at a deficit as reported by our town finance director and our external auditor. So all those steps and measures, we were showing the folks from Moody's of possibly increasing, I call it our credit rating as well. So all that is a combination, and it was really really satisfying for both Robert, myself, and Lourdes Albertino Financial Advisor to provide a lot of that good news where we reacted on some bad news, if that makes sense. You know, like you said, the Get Fit plan, the increase in stormwater utility fees. So that was something that hopefully will have some kind of good, result here in the near future. So, thank you, Mayor and Councilman, because it's tough to do. Right. It's tough to do, but I think we do such a great job with our town staff, with our full transparency here, or we show where every penny's going, the worksheets and what have you. So thank you, Mayor and Council.
All right, thank you very much. Council, again, thank you. And our next budget hearing is scheduled for,
The next budget meeting will be scheduled for September 24th. It will be advertised in the Miami Herald with the new ceiling millage rate as set before by the council, 2.8332. Also, residents are encouraged to just, visit us online. If not, just give us a call. We have all the budget detail worksheets are posted on our website. We have a copy in the back for residents if they want to take it home. And both myself, the finance director, are available to answer any questions.
all right, thank you very much. All right, council, thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.